So today we are going to do timing belt replacement on a TDI. It's almost same for all the TDIs including Volkswagen, Skoda and Audi engines except for V6 and all those V8s. Now the very first thing what we need to do is jack up your car, remove the front right wheel and unscrew all the screws which are in the fender lining, remove the fender lining, support the engine from the bottom, remove the engine mount. So this is the thing we have already done in our previous videos, so I'll link 2 previous videos in which you can actually watch how I supported the engine from the bottom and then removed the engine mount, and secondly on which I actually removed the fender lining. It was a video in the series of cabin noise cancellation. You can do that as well. Yeah, both the videos are in cabin noise cancellation. So we'll continue just after that. So after removing engine mount, I also removed all the piping, diesel piping, coolant pipings, and that is where now the coolant reservoir sits. Next thing what we need to do is remove the belt cover, top belt cover. It has actually 3 clips which you can remove. We have seen this in previous videos as well. So I'm now going to the bottom. As you can see that the engine is on the support and we have removed the engine mount. So the very first thing we need to do is, as soon as the engine will come down, you can see there is a bolt which is of engine mounting support bracket which connects your engine mounting to the engine. We need to open this bolt and then we need to add I guess one more brick to raise the engine a little bit so that we can open 2 more bolts of the engine holding bracket. Now talking about the second bolt can be accessed if you lift the engine a little bit upwards or a body little downwards. So you can see as we can use this recess inside to actually open this bolt. Removing this one bolt, I guess the most difficult part is to actually adjust the vehicle to remove all the 3 bolts. Timing is easy. So here's the way how you have to remove the last bolt. You need a ratchet and a 16mm socket which is of short extension. Then you need to remove the low pressure line of air conditioning from its bracket, which is under here. As you can see, I've removed it from the bracket. Here it comes from. So now it is perfectly accessible because any bigger of a ratchet will not fit in here, and that's the major concern. So just like that, the most difficult part of the job is done. We just have to change few tensioners and belts now. So the very next thing we need to do is we need to remove this alternate as well as AC compressor belt, because both of those components share this belt, and for that you need to release this tensioner. You just have to rotate it clockwise and the belt will get loose, and you will need both of your hands to remove the belt from over the pulley and release the tensioner. easily. Yeah, that was not easy. These are T30s. Now what we have to do is we have to remove this pulley. This is a pulley as well, plus a harmonic balancer. Anything in your engine which is a rotating mass, never drop it. Just imagine if your wheel, which is almost 25 kilograms, can get offset by just 5 grams. How many grams does it need to get offset? So never drop any rotating mass. So we have to remove this 1 2 3 4 bolts. We don't have to touch the center bolt as that belongs to the crank, and this is a M10 bolt. Once again, don't drop it. So 2 more bolts which you have to remove before you can actually remove the cover. So timing is almost uncovered. This engine support bracket, I really can't figure it out how to pull this thing out before pulling the belt out, because there's no space. And one more thing, there's one more screw for the cover which is just hidden under this engine's mount support, so keep that in mind. Okay, before uninstalling the belt, there are 2 ways of doing the timing belt. First way is with the help of these timing tools. Second way is a little bit mind involving. So people who believe in tools can use tools, people who believe in themselves can use the second way. So what is exactly the second way? Just a minute, I'll tell you. So what we need is a paint marker for method 2. We need to mark 1 teeth on the belt and 2 teeth on the adjacent teeth of the pulley itself. 1 on the camshaft, 1 on the high pressure pump, and third one on your crank itself. So do this. I'm gonna do the same. I have tools too, but I just want to show you all that both the methods are equally correct and we can use any one we want. Next is we have to release the tensioner. I have not removed the bracket because it's not getting out, so somehow I'm trying to manage a space. The belt is now released. We can remove the belt. So the belt is finally removed. We have to remove all of the belt, then move this thing out, and then I'll show you what to do. So after you have removed your timing belt, you have marked the teeth and crevices. Now you have to count the number of teeth and transfer the marks onto the new belt. But before that, I would really advise you to take a rest of 10 minutes or so, because it's a human tendency that whenever we get tired, the quality of our work diminishes. And this is one of those jobs which is less like a mechanical job and more like clockwork. So you don't want to mess it up. Means this method only works if you already replacing the timing belt before it's get broken. what I'm saying. If you already broke your timing belt while your engine is running, you have much more bigger concerns. Timing belt is least of them. So you can see the timing marks, cam, high pressure pump, and your crank. So count the number of teeth after 5 minutes, 10 minutes, take your rest, and then transfer the same marks on this. So after removing the belt, after marking the belt, you have to change pulleys, and idler pulleys, tensioner pulley. This is the tensioner pulley. It will come with the kit. Idler pulley 1, idler pulley 2, and idler pulley 3. I don't know if you can see that, but that is accessible from the bottom. You have to replace all 3 of them. This is the kit. If you want to leave, means you don't want to spend too much money on timing kit, a belt, a new belt plus a new tensioner pulley is at least must. You need to change. So they are simple, straight bolt on, remove the bolt, place the new one back on, and tighten the bolt again. They are pretty much straight. So let me do it, and then we'll match the timing up again. So finally the engine mount bracket is actually out, and believe me, this is one of the most stupid designs I've ever seen on a VW car, because this notch, it serves no purpose inside the car. Nothing is attached to it, but it's still there. And this is the only thing that is stopping it from coming outside, and it took almost an hour. So now we have to put the new belt back on. So finally, after removing the bracket, we have to remove the belt tensioner. As you can see, belt tensioner has a little notch on the back, this notch, which will line up with this empty space, and then it will make sure the belt is properly tight every time. So placing it back on, we also have to adjust the tension on this before it can go back properly. Yes, now it's completely in. There is the bolt. We'll leave it loose till the time we finally put our belt on, because its tension is important. So last thing is to remove this idler pulley. It's kind of making noise. Good, we are changing all those things. So I've placed the belt back on. Pretty simple the way you removed it. The symbols we made, the paint we applied, marks is lining up, and the marking is also here lining up. And I actually am going to remove this thing because the new belt is a lot more tight than earlier, so it's really very difficult to push it over the crank pulley. So I'll just remove this thing and install it later on, so that I can have a little bit of slack. So just try, when you are using this method of markings, just try all the slack of the belt should be on this side, so that the tensioner can pull the slack out. So timing belt is on. As you can see, one mark on the same, second is on the same, and third one is also aligned now properly. The only thing left for us is adjust this tensioner to the proper tension. And how are we going to do that? So belt is on its place now. The only thing left for us is to adjust this tensioner on its proper tension. This is a H6 bit, I guess. Yes, it's a H6 bit. You need a H6 bit to adjust the tensioner, and you have to insert it here, and then you have to make sure that this arrow is in between this empty slot, and then you have to hold this H6 bit right here and tighten this screw. Just like this. It will get torqued right here. This is the perfect setting when this arrow is pointing just in between the slot. So I'll just tighten this now. This is a precautionary measure after doing a timing belt, just in case anything get wrong. You just have to rotate the engine once by your hand so that you can make sure nothing is colliding with each other. One complete rotation of the belt is enough to know. And one very important thing, the marks you have made on the belt and the gears on the cogs will not align up now. They will only align up once in every 86,000 or so rotations. So don't try to realign those marks, because I don't think you have enough time to do 86,000 belt rotations with your hand. Yeah. Seems okay. So now everything done, tensioner on the perfect position. Now half of the people will be thinking that if we are going to use a marker for the timing, then why was tools there? So they were to show you that this method is equally good as your tools method. I've already circulated the engine once, and now I just eyeball it to the PDC, and now I'm going to show you whether the crank or the high pressure pump is still getting locked or not. So this is the tool. Locked. So crank is at TTC. Secondary is your okay. Yeah, it'll get a little more inside. Yes. Now you can see the tools just confirm that this method is as good as tools. So the only thing remaining is to assemble everything back on. So as we can see, I've put the engine bracket back on, as well as the cover as well. You can see the cover from the downside, and let me remind you, this piece is still a pain in the okay, you understood. So when it comes to harmonic balancer, you can see there is a kind of not divot actually, it's more like a indentation in here, and as you can see, there's a specific place for that indentation in your harmonic balancer. So line that with this, and now you can tighten the screws. So harmonic balancer done. Cover already done. Screws tight, alternator and air compressor belt done. So the only thing left is to install the engine mount and coolant tank back again, and the fuel connections as well. So the only thing left to do is start the engine and check what we have done. So now it's time to start the vehicle. What we have to do is switch on and off the ignition 2-3 times, because as we know, we have opened the fuel lines as well, so there are chances of air bubbles inside the fuel lines, air bubbles trapped inside the fuel lines. So we have to make sure that there is no air in the fuel system, and then we can start. Yeah, final call. Yeah, that's good. Nice. So, and this is the condition of the belt. Means it feels like it will do 20,000 kilometers or so more, but I really don't want to stress the belt, because as someone commented, belt is still a better bargain than bent wells.